Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are going to be talking about some mistakes that you need to stop making when playing World of Warships. You see, World of Warships is a fairly simple game when you take a look at it from a surface level. It's fairly arcadey. We have these goofy consumables and buffs that can be applied to your ship if you have the right commander on them, this, that, and the other. But once you get looking under the hood, it is a fairly complicated game, and there are some fairly simple mistakes that I see happening all the time in games still today that so many players are making in every single match. And we're going to be going over some of them in today's video. So that's what today's video is about. If you like videos like this, these guide type videos, I have a whole playlist of them on the channel. This should be the latest video in that, so you can check out that playlist once we are done here. But let's go ahead and get on into, well, actually, first off, we are very near 60,000 subscribers, and once we get there, I am doing another 10,000 subscriber giveaway, just like we do every time we hit that 10,000 subscriber goal. So once we get to 60k, we'll be giving away quite a few premium ships, so you want to definitely be around for that. I believe we're a little under 800 subscribers away from that goal, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and stick around for that. Should be happening here pretty soon, given the way that we have been going recently, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. But yep, that should be coming pretty soon, so make sure you stay tuned to the channel for that. Now, onto the mistakes. First one we're going to be talking about is, well, you need to stop ignoring the minimap. You see, information is about 70% of doing well in the game. The other 30% is your individual skill, and the minimap is one of the primary sources of information that you will need. So first off, you need to make that sucker massive by slapping the plus button on either your numpad or on your number bar. Me, personally, I keep that bad boy up on the second largest setting. It's literally one click away from taking up, 1/4 of my screen. And what's also cool is that beyond making the minimap huge, there's also a various amounts of settings that you can change with the minimap to customize it to your liking. So many players have this thing stuck on the default setting, which is just a teeny little tiny square in the bottom right of your screen, which is almost useless, right? So make that thing big. And when you are in there messing with that, hit that little gear icon. If you guys don't know, you can bring up your mouse in the in-game screen by hitting control, and then your mouse will pop up, hover over that little gear, click on that gear. What you want to do while you're there, you want to turn on all the relevant range rings for your ships. So like if you're playing something like a German battleship, obviously you want your secondary range up there and your hydro range. Other things, obviously AA range, radar range, if your ship has radar, whatever applies to your ship, you want to have those rings on so you know where that utility is at on your ship. Obviously, with all the different ships we have in game, radar ranges, hydro ranges, AA ranges, it's all different. It's a lot easier to just refer to that little mini map sitting in your corner, actually that big mini map sitting in your corner if you're taking my advice here, rather than trying to just cram all this information in your head. In addition, while you are turning those on, make sure you turn on ship names on the minimap so you know what all those funny shapes mean on your minimap. Sure, that might be a destroyer because we can see the Dorito on the minimap, but what kind of destroyer is it? Is it a Shimakaze that can crap out 15 torpedoes and simply deny you the right to push up on that flank? Or is it a Kleber that's going to be running around at 13 kilometers and trying to burn you down? If you know what ship is on your flank or on whatever flank on the map, you take a pretty educated guess as to how they're going to play on that side of the map. So that's very important information that you need to know. So make sure you have that all turned on the minimap. I've seen so many videos that get shared with me from players uploading their gameplay, and it's like their minimap is so teeny tiny in the corner. It's like, oh my god, like how do you play like this? Yeah, make it huge, and you can adjust the opacity of the minimap with that little slider up there. So while, yeah, it's taking up a huge part of your screen, you can crank that opacity down real low so you can still see what's going on. So definitely make sure you're doing that, and don't be one of those guys playing with a minimap that's, again, like 16 pixels in the corner of their screen. Nice segue into our next point, tunnel vision. Don't get stuck in Tunnel vision, fellas. So many times you've seen, and I know most of you guys have seen this, battleship players, or even some of the larger cruiser players are just so stuck staring at their target, like their eyes are glued to their monitors. Like, yes, of course. Seeing where your shells land after you fire is huge. That is, of course, a major part of playing an artillery ship. But you don't want to be, that guy that's stuck staring down your ADS and someone just walks up to you and blasts you out the water with torpedoes or anything like that. Ideally, what you should be doing is looking around every couple of seconds. Look down to your minimap and also look around to your surroundings. At the bare minimum, at least, glance down to your minimap every couple of seconds in order to make sure that nothing else has been spotted around you. While the game does provide audio and visual cues when ships are spotted and when you're detected, this isn't always enough. So while yes, looking at your minimap is the bare minimum, what you should be really doing is visually checking your surroundings every so often. You never know when that sneaky Paulo Emilio could be running up to you, or if there's signs of stealthy DDs that they've been trying to torp you, and maybe you've just been, Mr. Magooing your way out of the torpedoes just enough to not get that little torpedo, that little ding 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 noise when the torpedoes go by. You might be just outside of the range of that, and if you're visually looking and the torpedoes are spotted, again, those are signs you could be missing if you're just stuck aiming down sights. It could also be, again, not destroyers, submarines trying to do the same thing. And you might be thinking, there's no way I'd miss that. There's no way I'd miss a destroyer sneaking up on me or a submarine. Look, there is an entire playlist of Paulo Emilio videos on my channel where I literally walk up to players that are stuck looking down their sights, they're tunnel visioned, and they don't see the 60-knot smokescreen aggressively approaching their position. So, a tip for this, and what I do in my battleships, and I don't know how they teach driver's ed in other countries, but in the United States for driver's ed, they taught us to, make checking your mirrors a habit. And sure enough, today, when I'm driving, I'm checking my mirrors, check my driver's side mirror, passenger mirror, check my rearview mirror, every couple of seconds. It's habit. And that's what you need to get into here as well, checking your surroundings, just like you check your mirrors when you drive. So what I started to do in my battleships, once I fire, I go out of my ADS view, I look down at my minimap, then I move my camera left, I move my camera right, just to check my surroundings every time I fire. I made myself do that for a couple of weeks after I got, ambushed a couple of times back in the day, and now I'm always doing it. You can hop into a live stream, you can hop into just about any video that's my gameplay, and usually that is what I'm doing. Now, of course, too, I am just as guilty as everyone else of, falling out of this habit every now and then, and yeah, I am trying to nail that one guy in the back of the map at maximum range. I do get stuck on him, so I'm guilty of this too, but let me tell you, fellas, once you get into this habit of at least checking your surroundings every now and then, your survivability is going to go through the roof, fellas, because those ships can't sneak up on you anymore. That submarine can't get right next to you. Well, I mean, the Connor still can, but, they can't pull it off as easy as they used to when you were just sticking in your sniper view trying to see what's going on the other side of the map. Those destroyers can't sneak up on you. Believe it or not, yes, I've snuck up to people with ships like the Italian battleships with their smoke screens. Players don't pay attention. They rely too much on that audio and visual cue that they get when they're detected. But again, we have crawling smoke screens, exhaust smoke screens, super stealthy ships now that it's so easy for them to get right next to you, and you never know that they are there. So visually check your surroundings, fellas. Make it a habit, and you will be surprised how much your survivability goes up. Again, if you don't believe me, check out the Paulo Emilio playlist. Cruisers, obviously, you guys should be checking your surroundings a whole hell of a lot more because you guys are even more frail than most battleships. And again, you might be thinking, there's no way you can sneak up on a cruiser like that because of the hydro or the radar. The hydro and radar isn't always going right. They have to see you in order to pop that. Again, check out some of my Paulo Emilio videos. You will be surprised. Alright, next up, don't immediately give up on your flank, fellas. So many times, I know I'm saying this at the start of every section, but it's true. How many times have you loaded into a game, you spawn on a flank, and maybe you might have a little bit of a doo-doo internet connection like I have sometimes, right? You load in a little bit late, and you're the only ship still sitting on your flank. It's like, guys, the match hasn't even started yet. Why are we all selling out east? The west flank is right here. don't just give the enemy team that flank. Sure, matchmaking might screw you over and just put, one or two ships on your flank with you, but fellas, you can't just give the enemy team that cap. Now, I'm not saying, slam W and, go to Valhalla, but at least put up a fighting resistance on that flank. And, I mean, we've also all seen it too. How many friggin' times has your team been stacked up on a flank? Like 6 ships on a flank, there's only 2 enemy ships on the other side of that flank, yet how many times have those 2 ships held off that entire, well, literally half of your team, because your team's too scared to push up? You'll be surprised how often 1 or 2, 3 ships can hold off the majority of a team just by being there, being, a type of presence, to a fleet in being, if you will, to the enemy team. They don't want to push up because you might have a destroyer and a cruiser over there. Really, if you have a destroyer, a cruiser, and a battleship, and they're at least somewhat working together, that is an amazing combination, and you will be surprised, although, again, not really, because, again, we've seen what happens so often in games now. Those few ships can hold off a flank, but guess what? You got to stay there. So, as disencouraging as it might be, or discouraging, I think that's the correct English. Just make up words as we go. But anyway, how discouraging it can be to be on that side and see, hey, we had 5 ships over here, but 2 of them just dipped out on us. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hey, if you stick on the flank, put up some type of resistance, it's better than giving the team that half of the map, because guess what happens? You give up that half of the map, the enemy team has that half of the map, and then their other chunk of the map, so now you've basically given them 2/3 of the map. Well, actually, it's more like giving them 1/3 of the map rather than half of the map. But you guys get what I'm saying. Your team's going to find themselves surrounded back into a corner, and there goes the match. So guys, stick around, fight it out. It's a lot better than just running away immediately. All right, next up, stop forgetting that the F keys exist. Fellas, the F keys are free to use. They cost nothing. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, F1 through F12, they all have in-game audio and sometimes visual prompts when you slap them. Probably the best one to know is F3. F3 is the focus fire, or I forget what it's officially called, but it's focus fire, or like it draws attention to whatever it is that you are looking at on screen. In most cases, I use it for focus fire. So if you're looking at a ship and you click F3, it will cause this really neat little animated arrow to spawn in above the spotted ship's information, the little icon, and it'll say, hey, all ships focus fire on this target, or something, whatever. It's calling for focus fire on that target. Focus fire is when you and all of your teammates shoot at the same target. And you know what happens when you and a good amount of your teammates fire at the same target? They tend to sink, which is very important in, well, a naval combat game. And again, it's free to use. And you might be thinking, well, I can just type in chat. Sure, you can type in chat, but 1, it takes a hell of a lot longer. 2, there's no audio cue, or, well, I guess you could say there's technically a visual cue because the chat is popping up, but chat's over in the bottom left corner of the screen. The F3 prompt, when you slap it, it appears right above the ship's icon that you're looking at. There's an audio cue as well, so it draws attention to the target you're trying to draw attention to a lot better than you typing in chat. Also, on the flip side, don't ignore this. If someone's calling for focus fire on a target, there's a very good chance that they might be beached, they might be broadside, they might have just disabled their engine, they might have just caused them to use their damage con. So, focus fire on that target. Take shots at it. I'm not saying drop what you're doing if it's one guy complaining about, let's say he's overextended now he's just spamming F3. Yeah, obviously that does happen, but at least take a glimpse at what's going on. It might be some free damage for you. Hell, even a free kill if you just turn your guns and take a shot at whatever target the friendly guy is calling for fire on. So, again, don't forget it's there, and don't ignore it when your team does use it. Nextly, stop shooting all the time. You don't always have to fire. This is something that Battleship players tend to forget a lot. Because, well, our guns take 30 seconds to load. We're all a bunch of, ADD, ADHD little ants, right? We want to shoot our guns, but hey, look, when you shoot, you get spotted for 20 seconds, unless you're behind an island or you're in smoke and your smoke firing penalty isn't that bad, but you don't have to shoot every 30 seconds, fellas. In fact, it's usually detrimental to your health. Now, obviously, if the getting is good, yes, by all means, keep firing, but you don't always have to take those opening shots across the map at, 25, 26, 27 kilometers if you're a battleship blessed with the range of that, right? Like, when the CV flies over, spots someone at 28 kilometers, you probably aren't going to land that shot unless you're on something like the Slava or you're an excellent marksman. If that's the case, by all means, go ahead, but 9 times out of 10, your shells are going to miss, and now, well, you're sitting there very awkwardly as the enemy team is now looking at you. And, well, you're about to get a whole lot of love in return in that case, right? So, you don't have to always shoot. Now, there are obviously cases when, again, you caught someone broadside. Maybe you see the CV, he's perfectly still. Yeah, obviously go for that. But what I'm saying is, you're not a cruiser. You don't have to keep firing battleship players all the time. In fact, there are many cases when not firing is the move. Meaning that, well, you might be surrounded on your side by 4 enemy ships. And it's just you there. And you're in a fighting retreat off of your side, your health is not doing that hot, you're on fire, and you're waiting for your damaged con to come off cooldown. Well, if your damaged con is about to come off of cooldown, and your heal's on cooldown, you might not want to fire and wait until your damaged con and heal, or one of them is off cooldown, because you're in a fighting retreat situation. You need to make sure you survive for as long as you can to ensure that you can be of use to your team. Now, I am also not saying, don't fire when there's a bit of a numbers discrepancy between your side and the enemy team's side. I'm just saying, be smart about it. You don't always have to fire. There's a time to obviously, take the gloves off and go in, and there's a time to play smart, survive, and, buy as much time for your team as you can. So again, just think about that the next time that, you're on a flank and you're a little bit outnumbered, and maybe I should go dark and run away at this point, or at least go dark until my heal and my damage comes back up to where I can, take a couple more hits rather than just constantly firing until you are dead. So lastly for this video, fellas, stop trying to win harder. I have seen, and you guys have too, here on the channel, so many cases of teams, of players, individual players, they just can't take the win. They have to try and win harder. Look, winning already gives you a nice boost to the amount of XP that you get. Like, yeah, going for that extra kill or something might seem pretty enticing, but if it's a situation where, you'll win, all you have to do is live, take that. Take that and live. Be the boy who lived, There's no shame and playing smart. Again, like we were just talking with, knowing when to go dark. Go dark and run away. That is a very valid strategy to winning. How many times have we seen, that ship that's got to go for that extra kill, the ship that's got, they just won't run away. They got to try to one up the enemy team even though they're already winning. And then they just screw the pooch. And now, well, you're going to lose. Winning's cool. I'd love to win, but my God, it's okay. You can just win. You don't have to win harder. Good Lord. What was the replay the other day? The Palmer and the Johnston replay. I think it was last Sunday's video. The guy just couldn't sit and cap and win. He had to try and kill the Johnston for some reason. And guess what? It cost him the match. Just play smarter, not harder. A win with 80,000 damage done and 1 kill, that's a win. Guess what, 120,000 damage and 2 kills is if you don't win? It's still a loss, right? And you'll get, again, more XP for the win than you will for the loss, So, guys, play smarter, not harder. Don't worry about winning harder. Getting a win is enough of a win for the day. You don't got to try and one-up anybody. Just take the win, fellas. So guys, those are mistakes that you guys need to stop making in World Warships. A lot of these are fairly simple. Again, you might be thinking, oh, that's not really that useful. Who doesn't know this stuff? Go play some rounds, fellas. I promise you, you'll see one, if not two, if not all of these things in one match or two. So, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are other mistakes you see players doing all the time that, well, they need to stop doing? They're way too either way too simple, and they're way too common to be, well, things that players should still be making mistakes on at whatever tier that you are playing at. Let me know in the comments down below, or any other tips and tricks you have for our viewing audience in today's video. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, wonderful rest of your week. I will be live streaming right here this evening on the channel from around 3:30 U.S. Central Time to around 6:37 p.m. tonight U.S. Central Time, so make sure to come out for that. Hope you guys have a great day, great weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.